Good evening, everyone. I am just going to check if we are streaming live okay by going onto my computer and going into the group. So I'm actually going live from my phone. That is why. Oh yes, I can see myself. Brilliant. So can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? That would be really good to know. And then we'll get going. So I'm going to keep my eye on comments on the computer. So you'll see me breaking from time to time to see if there's any questions. Brilliant. Helen, I can see Helen's on. So I'm just going to mark this as an announcement and post it to the top of the group. I think that should work. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. And if you're watching this on replay, please feel free to also ask me any questions, even if you're not here live with me. So, of course, I popped a little poll in the group earlier talking about what do you want to hear most about, and the results were mainly self-sabotage, okay, which I certainly can relate to. We have got amygdala versus the cortex, so I'm just going to give you a little kind of update on what that is and a little bit about main triggers. So hello, you can see me fine, brilliant. So I'll keep my eye on the comments, so feel free to ask me any questions. If I don't catch them during the actual talk, then I will come back to them. Okay, so there's loads of different stuff that I can talk to you about anxiety, and I do have a blog that goes into this in a lot of detail, so I will share that blog with you. It does also come with a video around it as well, but today specifically I want to focus on these negative thoughts that we have to ourselves and this self-sabotage, because I don't think we are alone in this, okay? And so if this is something that you're feeling, I want to reassure you that A, you're not alone, but B, there is definitely a way that we can change that, and I want to give you some tips specifically on that. So before we go into any detail, who am I anyway, and why am I talking about anxiety? So I'm an anxiety and overwhelm and burnout coach. Okay, so I create space for wellness. I help to inspire, rewire busy, stressed and run-down professionals who are unconsciously self-sabotaging their lives. So from healing from the disease of 1,000 names, adrenal fatigue, to identifying those niggling feelings that something is just not right, I open people's eyes to what anxiety is, because I think a lot of us tend to push those symptoms away and think to ourselves, well, we're not as stressed as them over there, and we're not as in a worse situation as them over there. And while perspective is really useful, sometimes it can actually dull down your own experiences, and in doing so, prevent you from living the best life, the best you that you can be. So I help you to see what those red flags are. What is it? What are the symptoms that are unique to you that tells you that you're kind of going down that spiral? And what are the triggers? And that's why I say, and that's why I put in the poll there, the 5 main triggers, for example. But underlying those 5 main triggers are 2 sources of anxiety, and that's what I want to talk to you about in terms of the amygdala and the cortex briefly. The reason I do this is because I have been that achiever, that high achiever, that unstoppable superwoman, and I've suffered the devastating consequences because of that, okay? And that's, I was down and out for quite a few years. So I'm really passionate in using my combination of a background in corporate, my learning and development skills, and putting this information out there, as well as my experience in the wellness industry, but most importantly, personal experiences, and these count for so much, okay? What we go through, what we learn, where we grow, this is where the real learning occurs. So of course, we've all been through something really traumatic over the last year or so, and some people will be experiencing anxiety that they have never felt before. Maybe you weren't even an anxious person until now. Or maybe you've always been an anxious person, but it just seems to have heightened during the last year. So, hi everyone. I can see some people popping on there. So anxiety is a huge subject, and I think what's really good at the moment is that people are talking about it more and more. I get anxious myself, and I've been in a state of high anxiety, okay? So when you're living in a place of high anxiety, it actually becomes like the new normal for you. It becomes like the general way that you live your life at a high speed. You're used to being stressed, you're used to being snappy, you know, you're used to being tired. And I remember getting to this place at one point, and I did all the tests, I did all the blood tests, I went to do everything and came back with nothing. Brilliant. However, it then made me believe that maybe it's just how I am. Maybe I'm just this kind of tired, anxious, stressy type person. And so I gave up for a little while. I gave up searching, and I just kind of decided to accept that that's who I am. And it took a little bit further down my spiritual journey, my healing journey, to try and figure that out. And that is a really long story, so I'm not going to go into that. I know some of you know that story. But eventually I decided that I wasn't going to give up, that actually there is more to life than this, and there is more to life than feeling exhausted every day, that you can stop and breathe, that things do go on regardless, and you can press that pause button. So overwhelm is something that I have struggled with a lot of my life, and I think that overwhelm comes to some of us more naturally than others. I think a part of that is because underneath that there's a reason. There's an urge to please, there's an urge to be good enough. And this is what I call 4D. Okay, so I posted in my group the other day, what's the difference between 2D and 4D? So 4D to me is when you go beyond that, when you go deeper into what's really going on and why you're having the behaviours that you're having. So we can approach things from either a 2D surface level or a 4D. They're both very, very effective, and sometimes it's about combining them. So let me tell you a little bit about what is 2D and 4D then, because this is my terms for it. But 2D is more about your cognitive thinking. Okay, so this is when you could be in a situation where you're stressed because you're moving house, you've got a new job, there's a baby. You know, it's things that you're thinking about. It's things that are keeping you up at night. So this is cortex-based anxiety. So it can be, you know, when you're trying to drop off to sleep and you're thinking about something you've said that day, and then you're kind of thinking, why did I say that? Or I always say that. And then you spiral out of control. Does anybody do this? You know, it's especially present at night time when the mind tries to tell you everything. These are called meta emotions, when you, what I call, pile crap on top of crap. So you're already feeling a little bit bad, and then you make yourself feel worse, and then you make yourself feel even worse, and before you know it, you've lost control. I'm coming back to that because that's the main theme actually of the day. But the 4D is a little bit more around your amygdala. So the amygdala are part of your whole hormone system, your nervous system, how it all connects, but it's mainly part of your primal fight, flight and freeze. So it's your primal instinct, and it's divided into two parts. So one part is the way that we are breathing, the way that we respond to danger, the way that the heart is pumping without us thinking about it. And the other side are our negative experiences that have developed into something that's become really core within us. So what that might mean is, are you there? I just lost you for a second. What that might mean is, the difference between the two is the primal reaction to something would be, let's say you're driving on the motorway and a lorry comes towards you and you swerve. That is your amygdala, and it's doing your fight and flight. It's having adrenaline and cortisol coursing through your blood, through your body. You're getting more tense. You're ready to move. You don't have time to think. You don't think to yourself, is that lorry coming? Will it get me? Will I be okay? You don't think, you just do. Okay? That is your primal fight and flight, and it's part of the amygdala. Now, there's another part of the amygdala, and this is when certain negative experiences have been reinforced and reinforced and reinforced till they have cemented, or it's been such an ordeal, such a trauma to you that it's stuck within the body itself. It's like the mind has gone, you know what? This is dangerous. Therefore, it needs to not be around me. I can't be around this place, this person. Now, you're not always conscious of what these things are, especially if things happened as a child. So it could be something like a certain piece of music was playing at the same time as, you know, you had an accident, and you don't even realise that when that music plays, that it triggers something within you. So the essence of the amygdala is it's very, very subconscious. It's very deep down, the stuff that's happening. But what I find really, really interesting is if we are to, you know, not think about these things and we just act, and it's just primal and it's instinctual. What happens when we have driving tests, right? This is what I ponder on. We have driving tests. Hi, Haley. When we have a driving test, we are taught that you need to do the emergency stop if an animal comes out in front of you. Do you remember this? And if you're anything like me, you probably thought, oh my God, I really hope that doesn't happen, because I'll end up failing the test, because we have to do these emergency stops. We are supposed to, if there's an animal that runs out in front of us, we're supposed to drive through, aren't we? We're supposed to drive through because we're told that it causes an accident if we don't do it. So would you rather have the bird or the rabbit that's just run out in front of you die, or everybody in your car, right? So the idea is that you're training your natural instinct, which is to stop, to not stop. And it's possible, isn't it? Now, the only reason why that might not happen is if your core beliefs are so strong that you were like, no, there is no way I will drive through if something like that happens. So that's when your core beliefs take over. And this is why it gets really interesting in terms of the subconscious. So the amygdala side of the brain versus the cortex being the thinking side of the brain, is so much faster, okay? So when things make you anxious and you don't know why, and it just seems really strange and really out of the blue and it doesn't make sense, that means it's coming from the amygdala, and it's just your body's way of trying to protect you. In fact, all types of anxiety actually come from a positive place. It's trying to guide you, it's trying to help you, and in many cases, it's trying to save your life. Now, obviously, things can be a bit skewed because we are very, very complex as human beings, as you know, mind, body, soul, everything. We are complex, unique individuals. So things can get a little bit skewed along the way. So things that shouldn't really be fear-inducing can be because of these experiences. And likewise with the mind, we are taught to, well, not taught, we think about the future and we think about the past. And that's very rare for any animal to do that. We do that, which is brilliant, right? There's so many benefits to that. However, we can dwell too much in the past. Instead of just thinking and reflecting about the past and learning about the past, we can dwell there, and therefore we can fall into depression, which is actually two sides of the same coin. When we look at anxiety, it's when we're thinking too much about the future to the point that we start to worry, and that causes anxiety, okay? So there are two places where the mind can kind of go skew-if. It can be deep down in your subconscious, or it can be there in your cognitive mind. And that's why things like cognitive behavioural therapy are really, really good for working with the cortex side of your mind. So how then do we deal with the amygdala side of the mind? Because we can't actually talk to it, right? You know yourself, if you're going crazy, if you're having a rant, if you're feeling really, really stressed, if you're having a panic attack and someone says calm down, I don't even think that's possible. I think it actually makes you more stressed, more raging, doesn't it? So we don't talk to the amygdala verbally. We do body talk, okay? Body talk is why we do things like meditation, why we do breath work. It allows the chemicals, the cortisol and the adrenaline, to actually just chill out until you get to a place where you're thinking and you're feeling balanced again. Then you're yourself again, because you're not yourself when you're in that mode. You're in survival mode, and it's a very different you. So try not to beat yourself up when you feel like you've just gone off on one somewhere and you just think, well, where did all that come from? Why am I being like this? There will be reasons, but there's no point piling that crap on top of crap. The meta emotions, at that point, try if you can to recognize in the moment that there's some strong chemical emotions, hormones going around the body, and that needs time to settle. What's going to help that? Deep breaths, okay? We say it all the time and it sounds so simple, and it is, and it's free. The one that I would recommend is exhaling for longer than your inhale. What this does is it brings oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, the happy hormone, the love hormone, the bonding hormone, into your body, and that gets rid of cortisol. So I'm just going to have a quick look at any messages that will come through here before I go a bit deeper into self-sabotage, because there might be some questions. Helen, realising why it's so important to me. Yeah, and the music, Haley, exactly. Can't see all the comments coming through, but I know that there's a few in there, so hopefully they'll start to come through eventually. So based on what one of the members has said about, you know, these thoughts that we say to ourselves and that we spiral. I have a whole video on spiraling, by the way, and how to kind of get yourself out of that. But I'm focusing specifically on this self-sabotage and when you kind of criticize yourself and you find yourself in that loop. And I want to give you an example of that. So this could be a new relationship, a new friendship, you know, it could be a new work situation. Let's just say you sent a text to whoever and it's been a really nice text, you're quite happy with it, you know, it was just connecting, and you see that they've read the text but they've not replied. Okay, so when this happens, it can turn some of us into a frenzy, all right, and this can start the kind of spiral. We start to think, oh, maybe I've said something wrong. Oh, maybe I'm a burden. Maybe they don't even like me. Why haven't they replied yet? And we can even get obsessive about it. I mean, I know in past relationships, I have been that way. And I'm going to talk to you about how you can change that in a real practical way. Sometimes you can take it even further and get to the place of anger. You can shift it from, why is she not replying? Am I not good enough? Why am I not good enough for her, him, whoever? What is wrong with them? Okay, now I'm angry. And then you get a text, a really lovely text. And you go, oh. Meanwhile, you've just written a whole book about this person who you know nothing about, maybe. And you've put all this blame onto yourself and to the other person. And this is an example of a spiral. It can happen with anything. It can happen with when you're Googling symptoms and wondering what's wrong with you. It can happen when, let's say, a child or a loved one or somebody else goes out and you're worrying for their safety. This is spiraling, okay? And it's kind of like, it's catastrophizing as well. So you might be familiar with that term too. So sometimes, I mean, this takes me back to when I was in corporate and I was working with a team, and they were Koreans that were very, very, very hard working. And if somebody contacted them, I was in a trade, so I was the manager of the training team, and if a MD from another country asked them to do some training in their country and they didn't know what to say and they were too busy and they'd be in panic, I would say to them, you know, you could be in a meeting. You don't need to reply straight away. Catch a breath. So when people respond to you, when people send you messages, it's okay if you don't reply straight away. We don't know what's going on in other people's lives, as they don't know what's going on in your lives. So the more that you let other people off the hook, the more that you let yourself off the hook. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of what's going on underneath. So the spiraling is very much cortex based. It's very much thinking, overthinking, and that's turning into how you feel about yourself, about people and about the world. But underneath this is something deeper. So underneath this is this lack of self-worth and lack of self-esteem that has come from somewhere. Now, it can be family, it can be siblings, it can be your school, it can be one particular teacher. You know, you might not even know what that is, but what we can do is we can start to work on the 4D level and the 2D level. With the 4D level, we can start to unravel, you know, deeper what's in the whys, and then move forward. That's how some therapy works. Not all therapy. Some therapy stays very much with the now. That's gone. Let's work on the now and move into the future. There's no rights or wrongs with this. It's about figuring it all out yourself. As I always say, there is no one person that can give you all the answers to the jigsaw puzzle of you because that person is you. And that's why the slogan to Inspire Rewire is, you are what you are looking for. So it's about trial and erroring with all these different people, with these different informations, and putting your unique jigsaw piece together. So one thing that I want to introduce you to is the concept around the child, the parent and the adult. And this is mind-blowing for me. It is such a simple thing to keep in your mind that I would hazard a guess that it will stay with you, okay? And this is a psychology kind of tool in how you view yourself, how you view people around you, how you see yourself, and in terms of your behaviour in your interrelationships. So the child, the parent and the adult, okay? So we can be all of them. So with the child, as you might imagine, you will go into a state of subservience in some respects, and think about all the characteristics of children. You could go into tantrum mode when things are out of your control, when things are feeling anxious for you, which is fear, okay? When things are not going your way, for example, you might go under these different ways. You might even go under manipulation, you know? So that is the child energy. We've also got the parent energy, and you think, oh, that's okay. I think I'm okay with parent energy. But parent energy can also be not always positive, okay? So the parent energy can be, obviously it can be overcritical, which is self-sabotage, okay? And those voices have come from somewhere. We're not born with self-sabotage, so those voices do come from somewhere. And also we can be overly nurturing, okay? We can be overly gooey, soft, overprotective with our partners, with our loved ones, with our friends. And actually sometimes we need to step back in order for somebody to find their own way. What we're aiming for, of course, is the adult, okay? The adult in every situation. So the adult us is the one that is neutral, that understands the other person's point of view, that pauses and breathes through discussions instead of getting to the argumentative place. So I challenge you to think about the week ahead, you know, even the day ahead tomorrow, and just ask yourself, when you're in a place of upset or overwhelm or imbalanced, ask yourself, which one are you playing? Okay, and then try to step into that adult role. Now, the way that I do this for myself, when I'm overthinking, when I'm going down that spiral and I'm obsessing, I actually say to myself, and this is my first tip, stop, okay? Just stop. That is my first thing. And it's not actually as easy as it sounds, because you have to recognise that you're doing it in order for it to be heard in the head. It has to be like, stop. After that point, I ask myself some facts. I also visualise myself. So I shout stop. Sometimes I say it out loud, just stop, and I neutralise my thoughts. This is the best way to calm down the physical symptoms in the body from the amygdala and the mind. So in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you use neutralising quite a lot. You'll say something like, spell your name backwards, and the client's thinking, what? And you go, okay, ALOCIN, and it just shifts the brain just enough for you to get out of that kind of depth. And if somebody else can do that for you, even better. You know, if you can talk to somebody that's close to you that can help you with this, and they can say, look, let's just press pause right here. We neutralise, and then I have a go-to affirmation or visual, okay? So I visualise either myself when I'm being in that adult place, because we've all been in that adult place. There'll be many times then you've been really proud of yourself. And I want to plant that seed right now, because we're coming back to that. I want you to start to think about a time and a place where you felt like that adult you. Or if I'm really struggling to see that me, I think of somebody else that I know that has got that kind of neutral essence and energy about them. And I think, what would they do? How would they feel? Okay, and I borrow that for a while. It's okay to borrow somebody else's mindset and essence for a while until you build up your own self-esteem. And then I might have a power affirmation. And, you know, and if you're doing lots of affirmations, then, you know, this is a really good opportunity to use them when you're feeling it, when you're really feeling it, because this is when it's powerful. This is when you can really start to shift yourself right in the moment. Okay, this is where the work comes in. So at that point, you might say to yourself, something that I would say to myself, if I feel like I'm going off on one with how I think about somebody, I will say, okay, I'm a good person. I know I'm a good person. And other people think I'm a good person. And if people find that I'm not, or they have a different opinion of me, that's actually okay. And that is their journey, and that is their experience, and that happens all the time. So I reinforce that, and I remind myself, what did I say in my message? It was a beautiful message. I honour that message. And if that wasn't received in the way I hoped, that's okay. So have your affirmations ready. The other way to do it, which I know that is done on the miracle mornings as well, which is about doing the gratitude. So gratitude, there's been a lot of evidence to prove how gratitude can shift your brain wavelengths as well. So you're counting your blessings, okay? So you don't have to do all of these things, but these are just tips. You will find the one that works for you. So when you're counting your blessings, it's not about suppressing what you're genuinely feeling. It's about shifting your mind. It's about shifting your state to bring you back into that cognitive place, back into that kind of rational place. And it's almost like talking to yourself like you would a friend. So if somebody else is going off on one and they're going, oh my God, my life and this, and you'll be like, okay, pause. Let's just take a breath. Okay. Tell me, where are the facts? Where are the facts that tells you this? Okay, that's a big part of CBT. Give me the facts. Okay, now I want to know the facts about what is true about you, what you know to be true about you. Give me those things. Now tell me what you're grateful for, okay? And keeping that vision of yourself in your mind. So this gets easier and it gets smoother as you go along. The first time you might not even recognise you're doing it. You might realise it afterwards. This is what I call the learning line. You know, the time between realising it and actually doing it and then making a change can be quite big in the beginning, but that does get smaller. So the one other thing that I can suggest you to do is, I know it's not always easy, but to get enough sleep where possible, because if you're not getting enough sleep, then that can create anxiety physically in the body, which makes your head think you're being anxious about something, and it gets confused. So it starts to worry and it starts to go down the spiral. So if you're ever feeling super, super anxious, try to get an early night, and sometimes it just resets the whole physical system. The other thing is, if you are in fight or flight and you've got adrenaline and cortisol in the body wants to move. That's why we pace up and down. So go for a walk, get out in nature, clear the head, do something physical, do some exercise, this kind of thing. And I've got another thing that I wanted to share with you, but it is quite a whole other thing, so I'm going to leave it there. But what I am going to do is bring into a little visualization, so I can help you just kind of bring down any anxiety that may have come up during this talk, because anxiety, of course, brings out anxiety. So I'm going to help you to relax into that with a little meditation and allow you to see yourself the way that I know that you can be, the way that you know you already are. It's just about bringing that up, that adult you. And these meditations and things like this you can find in my Inspire Your Wires tribe group, doing all sorts of bits in there, and other videos and stuff that can be found on my website. They're all free, so just join us at any time. For now, I'm just going to have a quick look through to see if there's any further questions. I can see there's quite a lot of comments, but they're not coming up for me. How bizarre is that? Okay, let me just refresh the page and then we'll go into a meditation. Yeah, I'm so sorry everyone, it's just not showing them, but let me see. Yeah, I will come back to your questions. I'm so hoping I can. I wonder if I can log in a different way. I wonder if it's because I'm going live as an admin. I wonder if that's why, but I'll come back to them, don't worry. Okay, so let's just start to unwind and start to allow ourselves to move from that adult energy, the parent energy or the child energy, and come back into an adult place. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to allow you to see yourself in a place where it can cause a little bit of distress, but I don't want you to go to a place of, if we said a scale of 0 to 10 and 10 is super, super, super anxious, I don't want you to go there. I want you to find something on around a 6, something that gives you a little bit of irritability, a little bit of anxiety, but not where, you know, I can't be there to help you through it, right? So let's choose something that's a little bit medium, and I'm going to take you there, but at the same time, I'm going to show you how you can shift it by visualizing yourself as well. All right, so I'm just going to do this one intuitively. So let me just pull that down. I can see them on my phone. Again, just checking there's nothing urgent to reply to on here. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go for it. Now you can close your eyes anytime you feel comfortable to. We're just going to take a deep breath in and lift those shoulders up, back and down. Inhaling up, back and down. This time see if you can hold the breath at the top. Inhaling, pause, take them back, and as you bring them down, exhale. Good. That's called the comeback of the breath in yoga. So let's just sit nice and tall. If you want to lay down, that's fine. And taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose until you've fully exhaled. This time we're going to blow out through the mouth, inhaling and blowing away. This time a sigh, inhaling until all the air is fully released. Some of you may be aware that the vagus nerve is stimulated through sighing, through singing, through mantra. So when we do that, it helps the gut-brain connection. Now 90% of our serotonin is made in our gut, and that is why the good gut health is so important for us. All sorts of things in the mind, so we're allowing the mind to pause as well. We're bringing the oxytocin in through the longer exhales. So let's just take another deep breath, and this time you can release in any way that you feel has the most benefit for you. Any way, whether it's through the nose, a sigh, or blowing out through the mouth. And we'll do a couple more of these, but this time see if you can take a longer exhale than your inhale. Take your time. And as you're doing that, you can either continue with that breath or just breathe naturally as you begin to let the face relax. Just notice all those tension spots around the eyebrows, cheeks, the jaw. Sometimes it's nice just to give them a little massage. All the masks that we wear, not just the new ones that we've been wearing for a year, but the roles that we play, the smiles, the frowns, the concentration through the day. Just relax your hands, closing the eyes, softening the face. Just settling into this new energy, this new space. And just reminding yourself that we're all doing the best we can with the awareness that we have at the time. That we all experience these thoughts, these spirals. But as soon as we become aware of them, this is good news. This means we can rewire them. We can begin to start saying the good things that we know to be true about ourselves. We can begin to be the masters of our mind. And when we catch a glimpse of this, when we start to feel even the slightest, most subtle difference, we feel joy, peace, and empowerment. Empowerment because you are the leader of your life. You are. You are. Anxiety comes sometimes from messages from the body, messages just to simply slow down. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to press pause. In fact, when we do, we're even more energetic, we're even more productive, we're even more peaceful. So start to listen to those niggles of the body and the thoughts pestering us to listen. Let's stop and listen. What do we need to look at? What do we need to rewire? And remind ourselves of who we truly are. That calm you, the confident you, the vibrant you, the energized you, balanced, light, loving, fun you, the adult you that can keep that calmness, that's still okay if we get angry or annoyed, that's allowed, as is sadness, as is fear. But I want you to bring into your mind now that adult you that you know you are, that wise you, loving, confident, nurturing, observing you. Maybe you're wearing certain clothes that remind you of this you, or maybe it's a certain time or place that reminds you of this you that you've been before. Maybe it's a certain situation that you remember clearly and being so proud of yourself. The way you presented, the way you behaved, the way you responded felt so good. Calm, neutral, confident. Bring those feelings in from that moment, place, situation, time. Maybe it was just a moment in today or last week where you just thought, yes, today I am amazing. This meeting was amazing. This conversation was amazing. I could have gone this way or that way. Maybe there's a colour to this energy. Maybe not, and that's fine. Maybe there is a sensation. Embody that now and expand it. And I want you to imagine or visualize in front of you that there's a dial in front of you. It's like a circular dial. And you're turning it all the way up to 10, the feelings up to 10, the colour up to 10. Good. Just holding in this energy for a moment. I want you to remember that this is you. This is the real you. And from time to time, we slip away from that real us for various reasons. Maybe we're busy, maybe we forget to connect to ourselves, and that's okay too. And sometimes we find ourselves playing that role of the child, becoming subservient, scared, shy, or angry, annoyed, tantruming. And other times we can play that role of the parent where we're being super critical of other people, of ourselves, being angry, irritable, moody, or overprotective, over-gushing, stepping over boundaries when we might not need to, or maybe when it's not even welcome. And we all do this. And I want you to think of a time now, recently, where you felt that you dropped into one of these characters. And I want to see yourself, feel it, know it, and around a scale of 6 out of 10 or lower, where you thought, actually, I was being a little bit childish, or a little bit too critical of others or myself. And I want you to visualize yourself saying in your mind now, stop. Almost like a shock, stop. And every time you are in this situation or a similar pattern, you will remind yourself to stop. This will stay with you, this word, stop. And you will start to put forward one of the techniques, either gratitude, counting your blessings, reminding yourself of who you are, seeing that adult self, or seeing somebody else that you admire with those behaviours that you would like to evoke, or any of those other things that we went through. And now I want to shift you back to that adult version of yourself to show how you can turn the dial up in a way that is positive, bright, colourful, energetic, calm. I want you to bring that visualization back into your mind now of that you that you know you can be, that you that you've been many times before and many times you will be in the future. More often now, with this knowledge, with this awareness, embodying it, the feeling, the colour, the confidence, the words. Whatever that number is in terms of beautiful intensity, I want you to turn that all the way up now, amplify it. So all the cells in the body are buzzing and generating on this energy. Feel it. I am enough. I am more than enough. I am amazing. I am loved, loving, and lovable. I am a good person. I give myself rest when I need it. I press pause when it's important. I give myself me time, space to breathe, And by nurturing myself, I can nurture others in a healthy, balanced way. Keep that with you. Keep that awareness and knowing with you. As I count you back from 1 to 3, and at 3 you'll be feeling lighter, more confident, hopeful, confident on your journey with this, knowing that it is a journey. Enjoying the journey of empowerment, knowing you can rewire, you can make this difference. Starting with 1, just thinking about coming back. Bringing this beautiful energy back with you with 2 as you start to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe take a deep breath, blowing away that you don't need anymore. Maybe roll the shoulders, the neck with 3, opening the eyes back into the here and now. And hopefully you will have felt that, you will have seen that. Just looking through your messages. Wonderful. So if you've got any questions, if you'd like to know more information about that, please just let me know. You can message me or you can be part of the tribe group. I'll drop my links in. Thank you, Helen. And have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of your wonderful group tonight. And hopefully that will lead you into a lovely, lovely restful sleep. And in the morning you'll wake up refreshed and feeling great. Oh, bless you. Thank you. There's a little bit of hypno in there. I like doing them. I do. I like doing them. Lots of free meditations, by the way, if you want some of these things. So do keep in touch. You're welcome, Wendy. Bye, everyone. See you soon.